let people join. The presentation will be recorded, so um, anyone who joins a little late or isn't able to make it live will get that sent over to them. But yeah, I am Bailey Silverman. I'm the owner of Your Happy Nest Nanny Agency. I'm the education chair on the APNA board, and I am happy to introduce today's speaker, Peggy Mariner. Peggy is a former childcare staffing agency owner of 15 years and is now a leadership coach at Cloverleaf, where she's helped organizations create millions of meaningful coaching moments by combining personality science with practical strategies for stronger communication and connection. Today, Peggy will be sharing with us about trust, your key to success in revenue and relationships, exploring how building authentic trust with clients, colleagues, and teams can drive both deeper relationships and greater business success. So, Peggy, welcome. Happy to have you today.
Thank you. And I'm happy to be here. It's fun to be back with people that love and care for our future generation. And I appreciate you letting me spend some time with all of you and for those that called in. And I am going to dive right in to our conversation today. I'm also going to ask you a couple questions, so I would love if you can engage in chat. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them when they come up, and I will try to answer them. I do not mind being interrupted at all. So, I'm Peggy. I have this big long title that says I'm a personality science expert, and I work with teams to make sure that this information about the assessments that they have taken are actually transforming their life and the lives of the teams that they're working on as well. So I love that because part of what personality assessments tell you is who you are, and they give you language for the best parts of you and how you can live a fuller, more activated version of yourself. We are believing that who you are is good, and we think that when you get to live the fullness of who you are made to be, it solves bigger problems inside of your work, but also in your family, in your community. And when you're solving these bigger problems, what if we could solve some economic system problems, education system, childcare system, environmental systems, and these kids that we love so much could have a better world because we were living out who we were made to be more and more in the work that we're doing. So I love this opportunity to get to practice telling people who they are best at when they are themselves, and the traits and the language around what makes them so exceptional. When I am not playing grown-up business things, I am a mom to three teenagers, and I'm actually in my last years of playing chauffeur. I'm guessing I've got like 12 months left before everyone is a license holder and our car insurance is like the same cost as our mortgage. So I love these people, and I'm excited to get to have parented them and actually watch them as my parenting changes and I steward them into young adulthood. All right, on to the business of what we're talking about today. So, in chat, I would love for you to share what makes someone trustworthy to you specifically. And if that feels like a hard question to answer, I another good answer as to what trustworthiness means to you is, how do you know when someone trusts you? And when do you know you have a high trust relationship? Yeah. Truthfulness, another, we're going to talk about this as a tool, a component of trust is truthfulness can also be considered integrity. Following through, being consistent, reliable, dependable. That is also a component of integrity. You do what you say you're going to do. Yep. Demonstrating that they are reliable, true to their word, and you've got a good feeling about them. We'll be talking about what that feeling is as well. All right. I think those were some great examples. And just think about how it shows up for you personally, and then also what it means to have trust in a group space. That's often called psychological safety, as where you have trust within a community setting. Okay. Some of the costs of having low trust, not being able to depend on people, feeling like if you told something confidential to somebody, it would get leaked. In a business setting, it can drop your work performance because you cannot trust your team. They're unreliable. You might have to do things on your own, or at least you feel that way. 40% drop in your work performance. And when you are engaged in a high trust environment, it can be as much as 50%. Gallup Strengths says in a team setting, if you're exercising your strengths and you can trust each other in that way, it is 36% consistently in their metrics. And that translates into a revenue loss economically of almost $9 trillion. So there is a tax that when people don't trust each other, that you're anxious. Your interactions have a relational expense where you are spending or losing relational equity with somebody with your interactions. And you are also dealing with an emotional tax. There's an emotional burden of being in environments where you don't feel like you've got a reliable team. You don't know if people are telling the truth. And in an agency, that can look like no-shows with nannies or client turn. And with your staff, it can look like you're explaining yourself again and again. And you think like, I've said this already. Why am I having to repeat myself? And sometimes that can be indicative of folks not trusting you. And so they're looking for a return on validation. They need to hear it again. They want to know it's still true. And they may feel like it changes based on who you're talking to or what kind of day you're having. There is a framework for trust of how it's measured in business and also in personality science as well. And it's used often in developing leaders and in talking about leadership. So these three pillars of trust, one is ability. Can you do it? Are you competent? And this looks like your ability to execute a task. So if I said I was able to run a mile in 4 minutes and I commit to a relay team with that, and I have the inability to do that, not just does that erode my integrity that I'm not telling the truth, the ability to actually execute on it is not good. And so that would make my possibly ability a zero if I can't even follow through on that. The integrity, when you are going to follow through on what you say, it's not just having a high character, that's also being consistent, which I saw as very important to some types. It's being honest. That could be both with data and it can also be in a retelling of events. And it's following through on what you said. And there's a third way that people give and receive trust, that they can build and erode trust. And that's benevolence. And it really is very close to kindness and care for other people. And it is good intent. It is looking out for others. And it is treating people as though they are a whole person and not just a commodity or a utility to you. One thing that is very interesting about this is all of these different ways that people understand trust, it is multiplied against each other. So your ability is multiplied by your integrity, by your benevolence. And in the same way that this works out in math, if you have zero in any one of those pillars, it means your trustworthiness is zero as well. So if you have an extremely high ability and you have high integrity, you conduct yourself with a high standard of excellence, but you treat people poorly, you are not trustworthy to them. So I don't know if you have ever hung out with folks that do that. They are very capable, very high performing, maybe militant in their execution, but they're very disrespectful to you. Maybe they condescend and they can be rude, and you're like, I don't trust them. That is an outcome of this equation of multiplying those. And the same if you treat people really kindly and you are very, very capable, but you said that you were going to show up to work at 9 a.m. and you don't get there until noon. And you're like, it's okay. I'm really kind and I do a great job. I'm an excellent person for my role. But if you aren't able to follow through on what you said, you are not trustworthy at all. So, in any one of these areas, if you are a high performer or you are exceptional, missing out on one of these, it costs you. And honestly, it can cost you everything. But the even if you are low in one, it will diminish the positive benefit of your others. So when you are thinking about how you evaluate whether somebody is trustworthy, is there one of these, whether it's their ability, integrity, or benevolence, that is more valuable to you than others? And I would love for you to put that in chat because something that is really interesting about what I've discovered with personality science is that people do not value these equally. And that is an opportunity for there to be a miscommunication inside of relationship. Is that if you think people value what is highest in trustworthiness for you, that you could be misunderstanding and eroding trust with them accidentally. So in chat, put in if you know that one of these is the most valuable to you: ability, integrity, or benevolence. Mm, yeah, yeah. So I see several benevolence, several integrity. I love Jolene for saying that she's got two that are most important. And what happens when you have ones that are of lesser importance, you have a lot more grace for people that are not as high in the other one. So if you are like, no, it's okay that they are really struggling with integrity, they're young in their career, or they're just working with different audiences and they flex and pivot, and that's the nature of them. You have more grace for somebody being low in one of these trust pillars. Um, I love Dinah's comment that sometimes you can learn these and some of them are intrinsic. And actually, benevolence can also be a skill, but you would have to focus and practice on that as well. All of these can be with intention, you can develop and grow your trust pillars, but they take effort and intention to do that. Okay. So, if you have a high trust environment inside of your organization or in your agency, that could look like nannies going the extra mile. And it can also look like you just stating a need and people volunteer for it. And what that looks like when you're not in a good or a high trust environment is that you're having to volunteer people to take jobs and they're not responding with wanting to support you and wanting to make sure that the team is really successful as a whole. So it can also look like clients giving you the benefit of the doubt, and you aren't having to over explain yourself when you say something of we're changing this policy effective the first of the month. This is how it's going to be, and this is why we're choosing this. And people don't need you to justify that again and again. Sometimes they do because they're hearing it for the first time or their brain was busy, But repeating the same narrative again and again to the same population, some of that gets eroded when they know when you say something, you mean it and you will follow through on it. And if you have any questions about any of these, just pop those into the chat. If we were in person, I'd ask you if you have any questions. Our framework, this is commenting about how people value those pillars of trust in a different prioritization. And it's actually based on some of their personality traits. So, no two people need the same thing in regard to giving and receiving trust. So, this is an example. Oh, of how somebody can go with ability being their highest priority versus benevolence. And those that have a high value on ability, you earn their trust, it's not given to you. And if it's high value of benevolence, with eye contact, a smile, and a warm demeanor, they are trusting you first, and it's yours to lose. So, understanding that your audience may be different and you may not always know what your approach is with clients, you have to feel it out based on how they're responding. When it comes to your staff, there are tools that can give you clues of what they need so that you can start investing in relationships that build trust quickly, efficiently, and intentionally. Uh, because what you value and building trust may not be what they value. There is opportunity for you to have the best of intentions and still be causing friction with them. So opportunities are presenting themselves with every conversation, with every email that we're sending, and often even in our coaching conversations, they may feel really high stakes, but in the small interactions as well, those are building or eroding trust. Our interactions in terms of the agency culture and what our trust is in each relationship, you have no neutral interactions. You are either building trust or eroding trust. You are building a high trust culture or you are eroding against one. So, when you're thinking about what it could look like and you're expecting somebody to have the same kind of values as you do, it can result in miscommunication that you possibly anticipated incorrectly. Possibly they are not even aware or have language for what is most important to them. And being inconsistent, saying one thing one day, changing the rules, or having one talk track with your clients and a different talk track with your nannies, that can create disruption on integrity and unclear expectations where people are not sure of what the standard is that they're supposed to meet, or the standards are different and they are not clear on why they're different or when they're different. All of those can be unintentional drains on your trust equity. And also, trust impacts your revenue. When you are in high trust environments and you are able to not just know what you value in terms of your pillars, but you can understand what your clients value and you're able to flex and adjust with them, that looks like retained clients because they are getting what they need. They're not interested in go building another relationship and having to evaluate someone and find out if they're trustworthy. They don't want to spend the time and relational energy and shopping around. People are referring others to you, and your nannies are interested in staying and growing. They trust that you have their best interest at heart and that you are invested in their development and growth and in their well-being. I have the bottom of the slide says every point of trust compounds into margin. And that is just another way that you are either building or eroding trust in your organization. This is from a book, Five Dysfunctions of a Team. And this is if your team were actually performing really well and you were building towards high performing results. All of these are required in order to achieve high performing results. It takes about 18 to 24 months traditionally for teams to reach a level of high performance. And they have to have invested in all of these foundations in the pyramid. So they are building trust with each other. They know they can rely on each other. They can, they have a standard of integrity agreed upon among the team, and they're also kind and respectful to each other. They can manage conflict productively. They can come into alignment on goals, and they're also able to embrace accountability. So when something goes wrong, expectations are missed, they can talk through the uncomfortable conversation to come to a new place of alignment and continue moving forward to the goals. The good news is that you can be achieving these high results and you don't have to be 100% on all of the layers. You can be investing in them as you are aggressing and moving towards that. And one of the resources I'm going to offer you at the end with some free assessments, it is showing that when you are actioning on this investment in the bottom four layers, your team performance can move from that 18 to 24 months. It can be as short as 9 to 12 months. So you can figure out how to talk to each other, work through the problems, and move into a level of high performance that's really fun and energizing. Uh, I work at Cloverleaf, and it is an AI coaching tool, a team performance platform, and it knows you based on your assessments and your people, and it coaches the relationships. I'm going to talk a little bit about the DISC assessment today. I would love it if you have seen DISC or used DISC, you're familiar with DISC, if you could just put the DISC, DISC, in the chat. I would love to know if people are coming in with a little bit of education about this. So put in chat DISC if you have. Oh, thank you, Jolene. Okay. Thanks, Bailey. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. It is an assessment that is based on your work style behaviors. Why it's really valuable is because it helps you to understand where you anchor in your preferred work styles and where someone else might be. And understanding that people are different helps you to go, oh my gosh, they might need to take a different path to the same goal that we are both after. Because if I'm coming, this is such a cute little example. If I'm coming from California and I'm telling Bailey how to get there, and I'm like, nope, just fly 4 hours east and you're good, you'll be there. She can't do the same thing to get to the desired destination as I am because she is coming from a different place. And understanding that other people are different than us and how they might be different helps us to appreciate them and understand the benefit that differences can have. It also helps us to avoid some wandering and getting things wrong in pursuit of a goal. Okay, DISC is based on your work style preferences. So it is observable behaviors that you might see out of somebody else. And I'm going to ask you if you think one of these quadrants is really resonant to you. And then if you identify with one of them, you might two of them. Just remember the letter, and I'll have you put that in chat at the end of this slide. So the DIS and C stand for dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. And this set of adjectives describes dominance, but they are folks that want to be on the move, autonomous, independent. They are go-getters. They want to know what the finish line is, and they are people of action. So up here, where it has the top half of the circle with both influence and dominance, both of those types think conflict and change is fun, exciting, an opportunity for things to be better on the other side. So, where dominance might be more task oriented in that execution and pursuit, influence is more people oriented. And they're really enthusiastic and passionate, and they love to get things started and are very gregarious. And they can be contagious socially in pursuit of something fun or a goal or getting everybody excited about a new idea. And in times of change, these could be pioneers for your organization. And as we move down to steadiness, these are highly supportive, attentive folks that care very much about other people, and they are looking to make you feel welcome. And also, they don't love conflict and change. It's like chaos to the peace and harmony that they are trying to create. They are the anti-chaos agents in collaboration with the conscientiousness. And conscientiousness, they want to get things right. So they are task oriented on the left side of the circle, and they want things to be excellent, done well. You want a good accountant to be conscientious, keep you out of jail and maybe out of writing unexpected checks to the IRS because you weren't tracking your taxes. They are precise and analytical, and they want to reduce chaos because it is predatory to their standard of excellence. So, as you are thinking about which of these four letters that most resemble you, go ahead and put in chat which one resonates with you the most. And you might have more than one. That's okay to share as well. Yeah, we have a couple steadiness and conscientious. INS. S and C. S and C. If we have pioneers on the top half and they are advancing to find a new way and create opportunities and they're telling everybody it's going to be better on the other side. S and C is they are like settlers that they want to um, put down stakes, reduce the chaos. We don't need to advance. Let's make sure we can um, build something that is lasting and peaceful for all of the people that want to live here in the world in our future. This is great. Thank you guys so much for sharing. I love seeing your responses. Okay. A couple things that dominance is bringing to the team. They are in pursuit of results. So they are going to be pushing and aggressing the team towards some of the goals that you set. And they want to know what our goal is. Where are we going? What is the end destination? One of the ways you build trust with them is by speaking directly. It may be uncomfortable for somebody who is conscientious or steady to be speaking directly because it can feel unkind or too blunt. But for someone who is high in dominance, it feels efficient, and clarity is kindness to them. They're also loving action. So if you can empower or affirm the movement that they create, that is also a way to build trust with them. If you are someone who is high in dominance, understanding as you are actioning on the team, does it create unintended urgency that is feels like pressure to people on the other side of the circle? When you communicate in the way someone naturally, unconsciously desires, they feel you are more trustworthy, more reliable, and you understand them more. So it is comes across as a higher level of benevolence when you flex your natural style to go meet with somebody else. For your influence, your high influence folks, they love connection and they're going to bring that to the team, asking who are we going to be working with? Who is it that we get to go alongside? When you communicate with enthusiasm and passion, it is enlivening to them, and that feels like somebody that they want to be with. They bring inspiration and they love being inspired. And one of the self-management questions somebody who's high in influence can ask is, am I prioritizing being liked over being clear for other people? And clarity is especially kind um, when it matters exactly what is being asked and why it is being asked for conscientiousness, especially. With steadiness, they love stability and they're going to seek to bring that to the team as well. They're going to ask how questions. They want to know about process and they are going to communicate with patients to other people and would appreciate the same kind of patience and support in response to them. Uh, they love doing birthday cards or cakes or asking what people need and then helping them have those needs met. And if you are offering the same to them, that is going to build trust with them. Self-management questions for people on steadiness is where might I be avoiding necessary tension? Because conflict is so uncomfortable and undesirable for them. And conscientiousness is in pursuit of quality. They love getting things done well. They'll want to know what the task is, and they'll also want to know why we are doing this because they're not looking to waste time and they're kind of suspicious about why things are getting done and they need it proven to them. They want to communicate with precision, not generalities, not big ideas. And that is because they want to know what the standard is so they can execute it well. And when you are doing that for them, when you're showing up, you know exactly what you need, what the timeline, the budget, the job requirements are. That is going to build trust with them. And a self-management for them is the pursuit of precision, slowing down progress. I have had high conscientiousness say to high influence, don't come to me with your big ideas. I feel like you are about to take advantage of me because you haven't thought through all of the process. And your enthusiasm is a veil for inadequacy, which was like it was an engineer to a salesperson. That was the conversation, which was so funny because I was like, that is just a conscientious statement to an influence, and they are in conflict over what they value most and what they see as the most trustworthy. Um, this is a question for you as leaders. Is your natural style landing with your clients, with your staff, and with your nannies? Where does your natural style build trust fast? And where might it be costing you with your team as well? When trust is high, you are able to stop putting fires out. You're not managing squabbles. You are building with them. You are advancing. And that can look like people opting in, owning their responsibilities. When there's clarity, they are able to support you more effectively and you're able to move faster and do it more efficiently with your people and resources as opposed to faster with losing details or quality. You're able to do it and solve problems, solve new problems as you are moving at a faster pace. So the energy you spent defending and double checking actually goes into building work and advancing your progress. High performance can also look like a last minute call where if you send out a message, it gets picked up and there is trust that when that favor is done for you, you will also do that same favor in reciprocity. It's renewals because people know that you are consistent with what you say and you're able to communicate clearly if something's going wrong and you can follow through. And when you name problems, you're able to fix it without fear of penalty relationally or socially. Okay, I have an opportunity. This QR code will give you access 2 weeks for you and your team to be taking a free DISC assessment. There's actually more assessments inside of Cloverleaf than just DISC. You can, if you were building a team profile, you get 2 weeks for free. And I would recommend taking 16 types, which talks about your cognitive habits, which is how you learn, and then it's your decision-making system in your brain. So 16 types, Myers-Briggs. DISC is your work style behavior, and then Enneagram is your socio-emotional motivations. Understanding all of those allow you to work with each other with language that when you run into conflict or you're feeling frustrated, you're able to name the dynamic as opposed to having conflict between Peggy and Bailey. It is just us trying to figure out what progress versus chaos looks like. So that QR code, once you start it, it begins a 2 week timer for a free team dashboard. You can get your whole team on there. You just need to send them an invitation. And you can also start getting coaching tips about them. So if you want to be reading a tip about yourself and a teammate about communication and work style and what their motivation is, you will get those every workday. And you can even create a coaching focus of how to build trust with my communication with. And it could be somebody's name, a specific person that you want to be working on. And if you are sharing it in a team meeting every week in as few as 3 weeks, 86% of users say they are acting more effectively as a team together and they're having higher team performance. So it's a worthy investment if it's something that you want to keep on going, but this is a free gift for you today. And do we have any questions? I don't know.
Thank you so much, Peggy. That was great. Loved hearing about the disc. I love all those anything personality tests, but the disc has especially helped me with working with my team. And I realized when I did a disc assessment a few years ago of my whole team, I basically was hiring myself over and over again. I was
Yeah.
hiring this, I'm an S, and everyone I was hiring was an S. And I'm like, oh, I should probably hire some people who have different qualities than I do. But we do all work really well together, so I guess there's something to be said for that.
Yeah. Oh, also, S's don't like conflict. So if you weren't working well together, you might not know it.
Very true. Yeah. Yeah, do we have any questions for Peggy while we still have her? Anyone yet? I am also going to drop in I know someone earlier was asking about the conference. There's the link. To our annual conference coming up in Charlotte in October. So if anyone wants to check that out, we did get a couple of questions here. The first one is, can you speak on how to not oversell or over-explain when talking to a new client or potential client?
I think if you wanted to, okay, I feel like somebody who might want to oversell could be dominance, but over explain would be conscientious because they want to prove how thorough and effective and credible you are. And one of the best ways, just thinking about the DIS&C, if you wrote down 3 bullet points of information that they would be interested in hearing. So for influence, it might be support. Like we at the agency are always here to help you. That would be something I'd use for steadiness too. You're not alone is something I would use for influence, and that we have forums online if you want to connect with other parents. That would be something that would be high value to an influence parent. So if you had 3 bullets of assets or reasons that you specifically have a right to win for each of those quadrants, that would be your guiding star for communicating to them. And if you can identify quickly how they are communicating back to you, that can be a good um, tell for which of the DIS and C they are. But I do think like steadiness may not oversell. They may just look to solve problems. So knowing your disposition, Dinah, think about what it would look like to communicate differently to the audience. That might have been an over explanation just there. And then to Ashley, do you recommend having nannies and families take these assessments? So that's actually how I was doing that when I was running my agency in Cincinnati. I was having nannies do that with families. And I did not find a huge, it is very helpful for talking points. And I do know that au pairs will often do that. But part of why they do that is the State Department requires that au pairs have um, like a diagnostic assessment as they're coming in. And so often some agencies are using DISC because they can offer that to the families and talk about points where they could have risk of conflict, places where they will want to pay attention, and things that will be very easy in their relationship. And so that is a fantastic guide. It could just be a one-page document for each of your matches. And honestly, if I were having to do that, I probably would get a template of how I want to see that kind of information shown up. And you could use Claude. Cloverleaf has an MCP, which is a connector, and it will take the personality data, and you could get it for your families and for your sitters or your nannies. And you could create those one-page documents about the match that you're putting together for them.
It's really interesting.
It is so interesting. AI is kind of crazy and it can be crazy awesome. And I love it
Right.
because it can make, like with Cloverleaf, it can make your interactions so much better. All of the stepped on toes and misunderstanding can really be worked around.
Hmm.
Okay, Ruta, how can people who are opposing sides of the disc work together so that one doesn't feel trampled or stifled by the other? I actually love this. So I look for somebody who is opposite on the circle from me because they are my best thought partner. They are good at everything I'm not good at, and they are my greatest compliment. So I go looking for that. And both of us need to be aware that we are different. We approach things differently. We want to execute differently. And together, we can be such a dynamic partnership. So there's a step back about how you're going to show up, which is you are my greatest compliment. You are the best thought partner I could have. And from that place of giving the benefit of the doubt, you can really have very positive and dynamic relationships. These are great questions.
I agree. Yeah, I think kind of going back to what Dinah said, like you kind of made me think about like I love marketing, and so I feel like you could really use this to sort of speak to different types of parents that you are marketing to by
Yeah.
using different types of statements that might resonate with them.
Yes. Yes. Because for high dominance families, being able to solve this problem, save their time, and allow them to get back to what they are most effective at, that is going to be like, oh, yeah, what a relief.
Right.
Yeah.
Love it. Let's see. Any other questions before we off?
I would say if you have any other questions, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm mostly active on LinkedIn, and you can connect with me there or ask any additional questions, either on my posts or in DMs. And my email address is the Peggy, Peggy, at cloverleaf.me. And I'm accessible through that as well. Because you might have things that come up later and you're like, oh my gosh, I have a
Right.
great idea.
Yeah, I know that happens to me all the time. Well, thank you so much, Peggy. This was great. I have lots of good ideas that I'm gonna to work on now. So thank you for
Thanks,
taking your
Jennifer.
time to speak
Yeah.
with us
Thanks,
today. Appreciate
Bailey.
it.
This was
Yeah.
great. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who was so highly active on chat and so high contributing. That was really, it's just a lot more fun when I get to hear from you too, and I get to hear what the audience is up to, and your questions were so sharp. So I really appreciate your time, and I hope you guys have a great day as well.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining. And again, I put our conference registration. The registration is open. Early bird ends July 15th, and we'd love to have you join us in Charlotte this year. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Appreciate it.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.